what to do. Lying awake intently tuning in on you. If I was young, it didn't stop you coming through. They took the credit.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Trackin Tropics. It is the 20th of July, 2008. My name is meteorologist Trevor Cole. Let's get things started with some headlines. What we got going on is an active tropical season started so far. 3 named storms in the Atlantic. We're going to dissect all of those for you guys here in a second. And 1 named storm in the Pacific, followed by Dolly trouble. We got a new tropical storm named Dolly, and she promises to bring some havoc in the forecasts over the next week. So let's start off with Bertha. She's really pretty much out of this picture right now. Bertha is, well, persistent to say the least. You see, she started a couple weeks ago, basically been going on forever right now. So she's just a very persistent, stubborn storm, losing a lot of her punch, but she is still hanging on nonetheless, way up here in the North Atlantic Ocean, moving to the northeast. Still going to be a storm, but losing most of its characteristics and becoming more extratropical than anything else. Now let's look at its path. So wow, look at this. You see, several weeks back it was over off the coast of Africa. Now it has meandered its way through the Atlantic into the Western Atlantic, then curved up, just sideswiping Bermuda, at least the center did. Then it went up, curved a little big curvy shape almost to the track. So it's one of those persistent storms, and a sign that this Atlantic has several storm systems and several disturbances that can hold on to intensity if the right conditions are in a present case. Like if you have a wave coming off of Africa, you see one move out, and it's if the conditions are right, we can easily see it hang on for several days and even weeks. So let's look at it on satellite so you can see it's basically history. Now let's look at Tropical Storm Cristobal, formed a couple days ago, just off the southeastern coast of North Carolina. So you can see it's down here at the center. You can see it has some tropical storm warnings for North Carolina coast, which is obviously a good idea as the storm system is just off the coastline. So it's allowing high waves, high wind, heavy rain to pound the coastline in the barrier islands there. So definitely a good call by the National Hurricane Center with those warnings. And then you can see it's basically just going to go up offshore through the Atlantic Ocean, but nonetheless causing some waves across the coastline that should be good for surfers if they don't mind the colder waters. So let's take a look at Cristobal on satellite. You could see these little white areas that show up every once in a while. You can see there's just some really intense convection starting to build up here. While I don't think it's going to strengthen into a hurricane, nonetheless it could become a pretty decent tropical storm. It's already at 50 miles an hour right now, gust of 55, so it can strengthen a little more. It's not seen its last days whatsoever, so it's going to continue to kind of meander through off the coastline of North Carolina and then move to the northeast out of sight. So now Dolly, this is going to be causing some major forecasting problems over the next week and beyond. I am very interested in its structure. Look how large the system already is, and look how intense some of the convection and thunderstorms that have been blowing up right near the center are becoming. The center's right through this area, and look at all this thunderstorm activity blowing up around it. It's gonna. I have a feeling this one's gonna be a big one, and the models do not disagree with that. And by big one, of course, I don't mean at this time at least. I don't think it's going to become a major hurricane. But I think this has a chance to be our first larger style hurricane of the season, rather than weaker hurricanes we've seen so far. So while I don't expect this to be the doomsday hurricane that we seem to be hearing about a lot about lately for every storm, I still don't think it's going to go by unnoticed either. I think it's going to cause some problems to the coastline up here, but we'll have to see where it goes, and I'll pinpoint that in my projected path here in a few minutes. But first of all, I'd just like to clarify that while this is not expected to become a major hurricane, the possibility is there. That should never be unnoticed at all. It should never be downplayed, but again, it should not be upplayed until the time is right, until the facts are there to prove that. So, without further ado, let's take a look at it zoomed up a little bit. Tropical Storm Dolly right here. Look at this big area of convection, this big pocket of thunderstorms that just formed right here. The center is becoming wrapped in this convection, which is a great sign. But one thing that my friend Anthony was pointing out is that this storm was supposed to be going west by now, but based on satellite, this sucker's still kind of churning to the northwest, mostly north though. You see in the last frame here, it's mostly taking a jog to the north. So the longer this northward trend keeps happening, the better chance of it ending up deeper into the coastline areas up in the Gulf of Mexico. Sorry about that. So here's a zoomed up image of the center and the convection that just blew up. Look at that. That is a sign that this sucker is not ready to die yet. This sucker's gonna. This one could be a pretty nice sized storm, guys. Here's Cincy Forecast's exclusive projected path. You can see right here it's updated as of 4:45 p.m. So the storm has not moved a ton. So this is still valid and still my current thinking. While the storm is more up into this area right now, it's still valid. The tropical storm status is green, so you can see it's still expected to be a tropical storm as it passes the Yucatan. And then as it hits the warm, this water out here is very, very, very warm. Gulf of Mexico this time of year heats up crazily, so it is very warm, guys. So once this sucker hits the warm water in the low shear environment, I'm expecting it to take off into a hurricane status as it enters the Gulf of Mexico again. And then eventually, Category 2 is where I'm expecting it to max out as of now. Once again, that could change, but I'm thinking it's going to hit landfall wherever it does as a Category 2. And right now, I'm thinking that'll be between cities in northern Mexico to Brownsville. That's the area where I'm thinking Brownsville. It looks like it's right in the center of this path right now. But based on the newer model runs and based on the current trend, I would not be surprised if I take this line in a direction more like this with my update tomorrow, or even just a little bit more further north on everything, taking it more up into the Corpus Christi area. And there have been some models that have taken it up into western Texas. Anthony was telling me about this as well. Just for those of you who don't know, Anthony is a really good friend of mine. Lives in San Antonio, Texas. Is really good with meteorology. He's going to school for that as we speak right now. So he's an upcoming official meteorologist, and I wish him the best of luck with all of his future career goals and everything like that. But he's been keeping a track of this as he lives in San Antonio over here. So obviously he's going to be seeing some major effects from this in one way or the other. And right now he's me and him have come to an agreement that this storm is going to be further north than some are saying. And we were talking about the different specs on that, and it's basically looking like that's going to happen. And you could see that obviously this big cone of uncertainty can shift in any way within the days leading up to it. But right now I'm looking for a landfall in the morning hours of Thursday. But depending on how long it stays in the Gulf of Mexico, depending on if all this other systems can kind of kick out of the area and let it generate on its own, then that's going to be the deciding factor for how the storm evolves. But right now I'm thinking Thursday morning is when this is going to make landfall. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for watching my latest Trackin Tropics update. I want you guys to have a great day. Enjoy your next work week. See you later.